It's a good episode today. I know there'll be a lot of ums, but this is live, and I'm not recording this without a script. But I put out the question on Valkence Social, so big plug to social at valkence.com. Another big plug there. But I know a lot of people from social.valkence are really excited about this podcast, as well as I'm really excited for this podcast. Let me just turn my music off. Well, not off, but yeah, I've turned it off because I can talk. Because then you're not getting like drowned out by lo-fi. But we're back. There's no like no ads. I must be a real podcaster now, getting all the ads. But yeah, so you watch 4 ads. Well, that's gonna get me a Lamborghini in no time. Business 101 and getting money off ads. But yes, a lot of people from Valkence Social really excited about this podcast, as well as I am. Matt's super excited about this podcast. It's like I'm becoming like some big super business podcast person now. No, super excited. But yeah. So I actually got some questions. For this episode, and I actually wasn't surprised. I'm like, I'm not gonna get any questions. I'm just gonna play it by ear. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna change my name, but we have got like 3 questions. We got 3 questions. Yeah, they came through. I didn't ask them to. Like, I just went, I'll assume, and then they'll get the questions. But I've pulled up the questions. I've also put them into a Word document. But also, Matt, you'll do your lovely job of refereeing, essentially. But yeah, but last episode, I'll probably talk about success again. I'll talk about success. I'll probably talk about motivation. 1-0, balls in the net. I've already done it. Because Matt yesterday was like, well, you can't just a good chat that we had off the podcast. We don't put B-roll in our podcasts. Or this podcast, you don't get any B-roll. Valkence family gets B-roll, but I don't get B-roll here. We're a little bit more clean cut around here. But yeah, we were talking about the podcast and basically saying that, I'm on this grind now, so we've already recorded 1 episode, so I'm now going through the repetitions now. So if I've made 1 podcast, well, we're trying to get to 100 podcasts, and then we can have a sit down and go, oh shit, we must be a really good podcast. If people from Valkence are really enjoy the Valkence community, just people in general are really enjoying it, then so be it. Then we'll keep it going. But I think 1,000 podcasts by May, and it's already April. Yeah, if we get it by May, by the end of the month, I'll be like what we did with Twitch affiliate. That'll be good for the B-roll. But I've obviously put the people's names from the social Valkence Social for this, so they obviously get a big shout out. I know Matt's not here like he was yesterday, because he's like me. Once you get into a load of business meetings for the day, you don't ever find time for anything else. Entrepreneurs, that's what we are. We were always in meetings and never get 5 minutes. But I think one of the first one. Yeah, I honestly, you get sucked into calls and you don't ever, like, I know that's like for me. But yeah, if you've just joined this live podcast, or you were here yesterday, sorry if I have to repeat myself every episode, but it's always, I've got to introduce yourself to the new people. But yes, my name is JackOKings. I'm a DJ, producer, and the big brother you wish you had. Should get that. Matt, can I get that on a t-shirt? Can I get that on a t-shirt? The big brother you wish you had. Wear that at every Valkence family like meetup. Yeah. Hey, hey, technically Big Brother is a term used to describe someone that's the the top dog, like the in the family hierarchy, but I ain't gonna go into that. But yeah, so jot some notes down. I started off self-releasing music, then through distribution services, then SoundCloud, not SoundCloud rapper by any means, and then we went to releasing on some of electronic music's biggest dance labels, and we're really just going up from here. And and like Matt saying, like said in there, the purpose of the show is kind of motivation, entrepreneurial stuff, and also like mindset, and really helping you to like understand like what your ambition is, how you want to turn your hobby into something that you really want to like make into a full-time actual. I know my camera's glaring and you can see my monitor glaring in my eyes, but I'm not turning my brightness down on my monitor for this because I'll just forget what I'm talking about. And it's also so I can read chat, so I'm not always looking down. But other than that, yeah, it's the podcast's about motivation, mindset, entrepreneurial, like growing businesses, and actually taking the next step to go, well, I think the best analogy I could say is having a breather there. But the best way I'd say it is, if you're an artist and you're saying you're gonna paint, if you say you like painting, that is not a business, that is a hobby. Whereas for me, if you say I like to paint and I want to sell it in art galleries across the world, then I'd say that's a business. But like Matt's saying in chat, but also if you're listening to this and you've not watched this live, but it's all things business, mindset, hustle, entrepreneurship, experiences. Like, I've been through some really, really tough times that, I don't really want anyone else to go through, or how I overcome that, so how you can then overcome it. But yeah, I think that's a good intro. I think that's a good intro for this episode, because I haven't got Matt today talking to me. It's kind of Matt's here in spirit. I'm just self-driving myself to actually record this episode. Perfect. 10 out of 10. I'll be able to record these solo episodes now. Matt Sokol, yeah, he's refereeing top 10. He's like telling someone how to do something, but he's also here like giving me a pep talk. So he's like the biggest coach. I'm just copying the names from Valkence Social right now for the people that have put questions, because I really like to give shout outs to people, because it's all about building someone's Instagram popping off. But yeah, it's about building a community, and that's what the main aim of this podcast is, to build a community of like-minded people that are really wanting to make something out of what they love to do, basically. That's a very, very big one there. But yeah, so we're going to go one by one into each points, but we'll also bring some other things in there. Spice it up. Spice it up a little bit. So I think one of the big ones, and I think Madison made a really good... Madison so big shout out to you, Madison, for like putting a question in, but also big shout out to I'll shout out everyone one by one when they go through this. But Madison put a really good question, and I think Matt would also agree it's a good question. So Madison asks on socials.valkence.com, clearly not a plug this. For every time I say that, the sites get generating like millions of dollars now. But Madison made a really good question, and I really liked it. So yeah. So back to the question. So Madison, big shout out to you, Madison, if you're listening or watching. You get the praise in either this content, like. But Should someone start a business if they aren't 100% sure on what to do yet, or should they get themselves ready and more confident first? Well, I probably worded that differently, but I think for me is I think I brought it up. I think Matt, I brought it up in the last episode yesterday, but I mentioned the fact if you've got nothing, so you're starting the business with zero resources, zero money, like anything in it, like you've got nothing to lose, but you've got everything to win. So if like Matt is saying to me or has said to me before when I've done things is, you know, I always say that risk in life, risk is everywhere. Matt did give me a great analogy yesterday. It's like there's risks, so like even you waking up in your house, like risk is everywhere. You can't fundamentally get rid of risk because risk is everywhere you go, around every corner. Um, there is like I could walk out today and I could walk outside and get hit by a car, or I could get robbed outside Tesco or like a supermarket. Risk is fundamentally going to be there. You can't get rid of it. You can mitigate risk, but you can't get rid of it. Shout out Tesco. I'll be getting a Tesco brand deal in no time. Yeah, UK supermarket, but Walmart for Walmart, other I'm going to start having to list off like US supermarkets. Walmart, that's the only one I know. But yeah, I would say that you should risk it. Risk it because you've got nothing to lose. Maybe if it does go wrong, well, you've got a lesson to learn that you went, oh, I tried that thing. It didn't quite work. I think one of the things that I think, because I've been friends with people for so long, especially I've been friends with Matt for nearly 10 years. Matt knows like how I do things. So in terms of my entrepreneurial mindset, Matt knows me as the kind of guy that will break shit and find out. So I'll go, oh, we'll break shit and see how it goes. Like launching a podcast, okay, cool. Launched a clothing brand, cool. We'll see how that goes. But when it comes to big major decisions, Matt probably best. It's like the big major decisions I actually go and plan it, whereas the little ones I just go, well, we'll break it and see what happens. But it was a super good question, Madison. So thank you for that question. And major decisions need a little bit more think through and plan out, and yeah, be like me, or take that little bit of my mindset out from each episode, or this episode is the break shit and find out. But yeah, really great question. And yeah, I think this is a really good episode. I think we've got to 20 minutes already, so I'm actually doing well. So Matt's given me a good question. He comes up with questions for me every episode, so big props to Matt. I bet Matt's still listening to the replay of the intro they thought ChatGPT wrote, but actually it was me writing the intro. So, what would you say are the key things to at least feel confident in when starting? Like, should you know what you're trying to do? E.g., a clothing brand, know how to start one fully, or have a little bit of knowledge okay? Should you take ages into researching it, or just get into it? Well, this is a good thing, and I've learnt this because I've also worked in jobs. So basically, when you've got no money, when you're on, let's say, Matt, I need to get a whiteboard, don't I? Like I can like do it behind me, or I'll at least get like a virtual whiteboard where I can explain, Alex Hormozy style. But let's say we start from zero. Let's say we start from zero, so we've just started, right? So you don't have any money or resources that you can use to then like level up essentially. So you can't go to someone and go, hey, I want to buy your time because, experience and time costs money. You're not buying the person, you're buying the time that they took to get to where they are. So when you start making your first $100, maybe $1,000, then you go to someone that can maybe knows more about it and go, hey, could you help me? Sometimes you can do it for free. Sometimes some people will do it on a commission basis, but some people will be like, hey, I charge this to help you out. But I think having a little bit of knowledge on about starting up a business or a brand or streaming or music, a little bit of knowledge is good because you know the fundamentals, but it's about meeting like-minded people that can then get you to your end goal, or at least help you with the foundations to get to your end goal. Because once you know like how to scale the business, then you can be like, hey, I really know how to scale this business to where I want it to be. Thanks for your help. I'm going to see if I can crack on and do it myself. I need the board. I'll go on Amazon. I'll go on Amazon and get a board, put it like there, and then I can just take it off the wall and be like, okay. But I think having a little bit of knowledge is great, so you're not really going in blind, essentially, because if you just go in... So everything in business is a competition, yeah? Everything in music's a competition. So do you think people putting themselves as an automatic disadvantage, not knowing anything, starting out? I don't think it's a disadvantage. It just, you might not have the skills or experience like the people that might already have a bit of knowledge around it. I wouldn't say it's an advantage. I'd just say it's mine subjective. Don't take my words for it, but you pick up as you go along and you learn from your mistakes. You have good times where you make $1,000. You might have a day where you make no sales, and it's not a disadvantage. It's just your journey is different to other people. So someone might have already been working, maybe have done a 9-to-5 job working for a clothing brand, and they're only starting theirs because they've had the experience and the exposure to that knowledge. Whereas, say me, I don't know how to run a clothing brand, but it's hard, that exposure. So it's not really a disadvantage in my opinion. But yeah, it's a super, do you think faking it until you make it is good? Well, Matt, you already know my opinion, because I think I'm a very vocal person in Valkence about the whole, you know what? I've gone into Alex Hormozy mindset now. I'm like a different person since I've like changed. But authenticity has always been a big part, and I think a lot of people listening to this will probably agree. Authenticity is a big part of branding. If you're the figurehead of that brand, being authentic and being yourself is really key. And if you're having an audience or customers behind you, if they can tell that you're not being your true self or not authentic, or you're just faking it because you can easily get away with just faking something that you're not, then they're going to tell and they're going to catch you out very, very quickly. So don't fake it until you make it, because people are going to catch you out very quickly, and you'll find out that a lot of your relationships that you do build, if they do find out you've been faking relationships like that, they're going to go, can't really trust him because he's just been lying to me. I don't like, so I like people be authentic, be authentic and be yourself, because no one can be you. There's only one of you, because if there was like 5 of me, then I wouldn't be here. I'd be in Hawaii somewhere, streaming from Hawaii. Yeah, I'd be streaming from Hawaii, but that'd be an actual super cool stream. But some really good questions today, and I'm actually really, 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 really excited. Should people get a mentor or find people to give them? I sounded like I was a robot then, and I've gone ChatGPT. But should people get a mentor or find people to give them advice when starting out, or can you go for it by yourself? Like, is it a must or not? Good question, Matt. Good question. Because some people, this can be a little bit of an argument in itself. Mentors are good because they have probably been in the same boat as you, or they have different experiences that they can tell you that can help shift making those important decisions. So while some people rush for a mentor, a lot of the time, I'm one of those people, like we mentioned before in last episode, is breaking shit and finding out. Because maybe you do. Like, I didn't have a mentor before. I, well, I've had met bad mentors before, and or people that give you the wrong information. But I think a lot of the time it's been me doing it for myself, working on myself, learning from mistakes, and then also being like reaping the reward because I'm going, hey, cool, I've managed to, start a podcast. I've managed to release on some big labels. Really happy about that. And I've also been able to do this and also start to grow a community, which I've been really, really excited about. I think I've been waking up going, I really want to grow this community with the podcast, with everything. So super cool, super cool. I really, really enjoy it. And yeah, it's just, you don't necessarily need one. It depends on what works for you. If you're comfortable with having someone give you advice and be open and honest with you, then by all means, like have a mentor. But if you want to just learn and break shit as it goes, then be like me, and just, yeah. So after people do break things and find things out and it doesn't work for them after a while, should they just keep going, get mentorship resources, learn more, or do you think it's just a game of being relentless and a breakthrough? Well, I think resources are good because there might be things that people might in those mentorships might not tell you. Might just go, or they might keep it quite vague, which people don't like vague because vague doesn't get you the goals you want and doesn't get you the results you want. So I always think find a mentorship, find resources, find like-minded people that are going for the same goals as you, because they are probably going through the same struggles that you're going through, and they might be able to share a different look on that. So maybe you're having a tough time, growing a business or your brand, but someone might go, "Hey, I've been having a tough time because I've not been really good at social media," and it's like, "Oh, I feel that. Like, let's talk about that." So you'll relate to some people, and yeah, it's super wholesome this episode. super wholesome, but yeah, you will break through. Is there a point after trying for so long by yourself that you should hang it up and start something else, or find others to help you, or spend times learning? Do you think people should go after what they want even if it doesn't feel like it's working out for ages? That's a good question, Matt. You just coming in with all these podcast questions, and these are just going. Episode 2 is going to be like beats episode 1. So I think, yeah, I think for me, and I'll share an experience because a lot of people don't know the full story of how I got to where I am. So I started off a couple music brands. So I started off as like Chaotic. Then I went to like Navy X and stuff like that. I'd had tough times with people running their own labels and distribution, and I was tired. And I also had the problem of people trying to take me for granted. And I think a lot of people will probably relate to that on a personal level when people say they're there for you in terms of like, oh, I want to help you through this tough time, and then you find out that they've been using you for that. So that's when, wholesome story here. I met Matt. Matt helped me with the initial concept of JackOKings. We got it like set up, and then from there we just kind of like Matt has been a good friend for like the last 10 years or something there. Matt was the actual help because even like Matt has been supporting like me as a friend, but also supporting like JackOKings, and getting to the point where being financially stable, making music, doing the dream, and getting out the 9 to 5. So if I was trying for so long, trying to get on these big labels and try and become a big name, which it's still a goal, and it's still really hard. So I'm not going to say if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. It is not easy. But I think if it doesn't work for you, don't just give up, because I like to say, if you're just going to throw in the towel, like, if you know what you got into when you started it. So good pep talk there. So before you start anything, like, zoom out a little bit and then go, well, what's the why? Like, why did you start? Like, a good thing I'm going to say is a good thing I said in the last episode, is get notes up. If you're listening to this on Twitch, or like you're watching this on Twitch, or you're listening to it on Spotify or wherever, take out a notepad if you've got a physical one, or take up notes on your phone while you're listening, and jot down like 3 things. Like, why did you start this brand? Why did you start this business? Why did you start those hobbies? Because when you know your why, you'll keep pushing through. Good one there, Matt. How can people find motivation to keep going after they've been trying for so long and it feels like things aren't working out and they want to give up? I'm doing that podcast pause. So I think one of the big things a lot of people think so I think a lot of people, and it's going to come back to the point I made in the previous episode, and it'll come across all the episodes. It'll seamlessly seep over. People don't focus on the journey. They just focus on the end result. So let's say, I want 1 million streams. The end goal is 1 million streams, but I'm not actually looking at how we're getting to 1 million. So, well, I have to then get to 100k, and that's a big milestone, and then we have to get to 500, and then, up to 1 million. So people think they want to have this overnight rush to their end goal, which, success does not come overnight. And also, thinking pause. Success is also a good quote from Alex Hormozy, which I actually really vibe with and enjoy, is success is the hate that you get along the way, and you can't just fit back into into conformity because it's warm and comfortable. And people might tell you, oh, it's a risk that you're setting up a business or doing music and stuff. It's not sustainable. That's just because they are trying to put you in a box, and they want to put you in the comfortable box, and they want to keep you there because they go, oh, I'm not quite sure I like you doing that. Just get back in your box where it's comfortable. So motivation wise, and if you listen to this and you are in this kind of, I don't feel motivated to try to push for a business, like listen here, and it's like a big brother talk here. Listen, I believe in you. Like, also do this as an affirmation, and I think Matt will probably agree with me on affirmations. I believe in you. Or like, look in the mirror when you wake up in the morning and go, look at the mirror and go, I'm strong, I'm powerful, I can basically accomplish anything that's basically in my way. And that's the one I do every morning. Although you should be on the grind and be relentless. Not gonna lie, yeah, that's me in a nutshell. Do you think people should ever know a time to actually give something up, like they've tried for 5-10 years, nothing happens, hang it up, or just keep going non-stop if they really want it? If you know that it's not sustainable, and you clearly know that you aren't seeing any kind of tangible success, then I would be considering, hey, you may want to have a zoom out, look at everything, and being like, hey, maybe you need to approach this differently. Maybe this isn't the thing that's right for you. all of it is, if your heart is sought after to grow a business, become a really good streamer musician, and your heart really wants it, push through the doubt, push through you know the naysayers, because when you do get to that end point, because I've been doing it 5+ years, I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm pushing through because I know that I am a very I believe in myself, and I have a lot of people believing in me, and it's about surrounding yourself with like-minded people that also will believe in you, whether it's friends, whether it's family. Having that belief is something that keeps pushing you through this, you know, time. Because when you have your best times, how do you tell if people are genuinely there for you? Because good saying, and Matt, you're probably going to take all my quotes, turn them into content. You're going to turn them into affirmation boards and put them on eBay or something. Jack Hormozy quotes or something. Yeah. So, how do you tell that people are genuinely there for you? This is one of my say is basically, if you're in the weeds, which I say in the weeds, or how I'll say it in it all the time, is in the weeds is when you're in a bad situation or you're at a bad point where you think everything's crumbling down and you think, oh, I can't do this because I'm really in a really tight in a pickle. Where if you've got like-minded people, they will celebrate your successes and kind of your big victories, your little victories, and they'll be there and I know when people are there, when they know that they're there for my not my big wins, but the little ones. Oh, I've just got Twitch affiliate. Great, that's really great. I'm really proud of you. And whereas if you start noticing people that are here just for the ride, if they're with you from day one, so basically went and are always there for you from day one, then those are the people I like to say my ride or dies, basically. But it's also how you define them. But I always say that if they're only there for the ride and they're only there for when you are going up, then they aren't there for you. Because how do you know when to cut someone off? Ooh, we're getting into the deep ones here. I still got I still got 2 questions from Valkence Social, the Valkence Social, because I asked. But how do you know when to cut someone off when they're not being genuine or honest with you? Sometimes you need to be harsh, or not harsh in but sometimes you need to have those tough. Basically, a good thing is success for me, or seeing those big decisions come to fruition, is also based on the hard conversations I've had to have with myself. So I didn't go partying last month because someone was like, hey, I just want you to come out and party, when I was actually here just making music, focusing on brand and podcast and stuff. Basically, that person got cut off because I was like, well, if all you see out of me is just partying all the time and drinking, and you're not here for my successes and seeing being happy that I'm proud of me, that I'm actually doing something with my life, then you are going bye-bye. You are going bye-bye. And and last question on this topic, should you tell people around you that you're starting something new, or should you keep it to yourself? Go private first or go public? Well, for me, music has kind of been a private thing. So I've kept this music thing private for maybe 5 years or something. I think only a few people known about it. You knew about it, but I think my parents knew about it because I obviously told them. But I think I only told people that were genuinely were having my corner, essentially. Because I like to say that on this journey, you will always have one person just silently clapping in a quiet auditorium, and the more success you get, the more people that are clapping, to the point where you don't need anyone to root for you. They just say they are rooting for you, but you're just like, and they're going, he's amazing, he's great at what he does, like music, or his business is doing really well. Well, you're just like, yeah, I don't need to root for myself because the proof's already there. So I would think it's about discretion, and just tell the right people, what you want to get from, what that you want to hear from them, not the ones that are only going to be here for the ride. This is a good episode. This is another great episode. But we are rolling back to those questions. We are rolling back to the, you know, social ones. But I also got another one. I also got another question from someone on Lucia. Big shout out to you, Lucia, if you're listening or watching on Twitch. Really appreciate you giving a question. What should you focus on when starting a brand or business? The quality of the offering, or should they rush it out to get it live? That's a good question. And Matt, if you were on this episode, I would also ask you the same question, because you'd also give me the same kind of, we'd probably have the same answer. But I think when starting a brand or business, I think you should focus on the quality of the offering. But someone's going to tell me off for saying the wrong answer. But there's no wrong answer to this. It's basically just honest opinion. You should look at the quality of the offering, because if you have someone that is paying a lot of money, so let's say, Matt's going to be my analogy for today. So let's say I offer Matt, a service. Basically, he gets music consulting from me for $1,000. Matt is expecting a really good service for $1,000. So the quality of the service is, you have to justify why someone is paying that amount, because at $1,000 is a lot of money, but it's also what you give. Basically, the big point I'm going to make here is value. So the quality of the offering should equal value. So if you're really got a high quality product or service, that means there's a lot of value involved. So if you can because it's also like when you go to the TV store, you buy a TV, you don't buy the cheapest TV there, but you might want to buy the cheapest TV, but you also look at kind of the offering, and like Matt said, I'm probably going to also say it here so you can hear it on an audio, but Matt is saying that it depends on what you're offering. So if you're offering something that does the job, no matter quality, design, or anything, then just get to it. If it's something personal or something, I'd say if it's bespoke, like craft, like wood. Best analogy I like to say is the craftsman. Do like the wood crafting people? They focus on quality because the actual wood crafting is really, really hard craft to get into, but it's also like they produce some really beautiful pieces. Like, I don't think I could do it, but like Matt said, if it's something personal, people to people, one to one, they need to present it well and offered to high class people, so quality should be focused on. So it's a little bit of a two-sided one, but for me, quality of offering is always a very, very big thing to me, because I want to make sure people get value and people take that away and go, I really got a really great service from Jack. He's a really great guy, and I got a lot out of it. Whereas if I didn't, it'd just be like, oh, I talked to Jack for 15 minutes on Zoom about something and I didn't get anything out of it, But I really appreciate that question, Lucia. It's a great question. Yeah. Any other questions? We still got a lot, but I know I've answered Madison's, I've got Lucia's. Any other questions you got, Matt? Because you've got loads for me. You got so many for me. It's just going. We're gonna have another hour episode going. I'm gonna have recorded 2-hour episodes. But what would you say was your biggest what is your biggest lesson in your brand? So like, what's your biggest takeaway? Don't. Oh, it's gonna be. It's gonna. This is gonna be like a. Matt. You're gonna instantly know when I say this, but don't trust. Don't trust everyone. And it also links back to the next point, or the last point we had about how do you know which people to cut off. Is don't trust everyone, but also don't take it for granted, or just don't. If it sounds good to be true, then it probably is. Like, oh, I can get you on these big labels. Sounds too good to be true, right? If you haven't got, like, for me, there's no easy route for me, and from my experiences, there's no easy route to becoming a big DJ, because these big labels, I can't talk to them, so it's a lot of graft. So if anyone comes in going, I can get you on these labels, sounds a little bit good to be true. So don't trust everyone. Don't trust everyone. Just make sure you keep and this is a big lesson and big takeaway I have, but keeping your circle of influence quite concise and quite small. So I have very few friends. I have very few friends. How have you figured out who to trust and who not to trust? Well, I always think it's a tough one, because you have to suffer, like, you do have to suffer a little bit to work out who can't be trusted. But I can tell now who's not genuine, because if someone isn't there in the weeds with you when you're at the lowest of lows, like with your brand, going, oh, I really don't think like I can do this, or I'm struggling with my brand. Whereas people going, don't worry, I think you're great, the branding's great, the music's great, you can get through this. Whereas it's just the people that go, oh, you're not doing well, you're not successful, oh, you've just been saying that you're a big DJ when you actually you're not. And, you know, if it's all the people that do all the naysaying, then it's a case of me going, well, I don't trust you, and you're only here for the ride, so get out. Get out, you know? But I think that's a good answer. I think that's a good answer, Matt. Like, from my experiences, if you're only here for the ride, get out. So, this is a good one. New topic. So, let's say you're starting a new brand or business. How would you tell people to go about it? What should they focus on, and what's important? So, what are the vital things to focus on when starting out? And it sort of links back to sort of how the intros go for the podcast. So speak about from a music brands and then talk about a business. So if you want to also take notes about this, I would really appreciate it. But I would also appreciate if, I think one of the things I mentioned in the last episode is, if you are listening to on Spotify, Apple Music, whatever, wherever you stream your podcasts, or you are watching this live, let me know your thoughts about the podcast, if you've taken any of the things I've talked about away. But I think, let's say I started JackOKings from fresh. So I'm going to break this down. I was going to share my screen, actually, and we could have done like an MS Paint, so I could do like a whiteboard segment. Should I do that, Matt? Should I pull up MS Paint and do like a whiteboard segment? Should I do that? Should I do a whiteboard segment? I think I should. Okay. I thought, because we haven't got a whiteboard behind us in real life, right? So, give me a moment. We shall fire up. Right, let me just double check where we've got. Like, I know I'm moving. Oh, actually, I'm just moving my laptop, so you can just see me, okay? So, right. And then let's pull up. Let me know when you guys see MS Paint. And then see me. Yeah, so, Sorry about that, Matt, because the chat is now because this is white. Don't worry. Just for everyone's sake, and you can see the chat if you're watching the visual version. There you go. I've made this a little bit better. Right. So I'm not a great drawer, so don't worry. So kind of the first thing we do, I'll do it in marker pen actually. So kind of the first thing we do is actually I'm doing this on a laptop and I'm not very good at drawing, so I'll obviously type in the things. So first thing we do is we look at the why, the purpose, and the why. So why did you start this music brand or this business in the first place? So we have to look at the why. So how at the start we looked at the intro of the podcast and said, hey, what is the purpose of this podcast? This podcast is designed to educate, support, motivate people. So obviously find your purpose, find your why. And then this also links back to an aim, but I always think as the business aim is, what do you intend to do with this business? Or are you doing this because you love music and you really want to open your music to the world? This is coming from a music business perspective, but in terms of normal business, what do you want to do? Are you wanting to, change how the tech industry does something, or you wanted to change how the fashion industry, what's the aim of that business? Like, does this sound really good, Matt, by the way? Does this sound really good how I'm saying, I'm kind of being like a professor on a stream? So yeah, you've got your purpose and your why, but you also have to look at what aim you're trying to do. Like, I also say, what resources... You also have to look at what resources do I have available? What resources do I have available? Because you'll start at this and you need to go, maybe you have got a... you need to look at what resource you've got. Oh, I've already got a Spotify account. Cool. I've already got FL Studio. Cool. I have distribution. Cool. And you look at that as a business being like, how can I scale this up and be able to get to more audiences and stuff? So, also what resources do you have? You have to look at that. Do I need to make this text bigger at all for the short form content, Matt? Or is this all good and you're going to be able to get this perfectly? Bit bigger. Don't you know what? You on when we make the short form content. Is that bigger? Is that better for you? Yeah. Cool. And I might move it over here a little bit so you can actually get like put it in better content. So yeah. So we've looked at purpose and why, the aim, what resources do I have available? Also, is it a high risk or a low risk starting? So I always like to see everything, and it goes back to risk is, we can't get rid of risk. Fundamentally, risk is everywhere. Risk is, you can mitigate risk, but you have to look at it and be like, oh, is there a risk of me starting this business, or is it low risk starting? So me starting a music business as a DJ and producer, well, I'd say that's low risk because, one, I don't have any tangible success. I don't have any streams, so I've got nothing. So I've got nothing to lose by starting. I've got everything to win, but everything is, there's no risk. If it was like I had millions of streams and I got this going on and this going on, then that would be high risk, because if I just went, I don't want to do it anymore, that could all just collapse through. So always ask yourself, is it a risk? Is it high risk me doing this, or is it low risk? Is cost a part of risk? Good question, Matt, because I don't really talk about money. Because money is a very, very, very sore subject. Because money is a very, very. So, should people be happy to risk money to do a project, or should they be preserved on that first? So, good thing about money is that links into my yeah talking very, very start, yeah. But investment, should I be prepared to put money down? Now, I'm gonna go from my experience doing this for 5 years. JackOKings didn't really have much money behind it. Basically, I bought FL Studio. I was using a 9 to 5. I still do a 9 to 5 job to fund a lot of the business, but it's not me going, I'm gonna just drop my 9 to 5 today and I'll be making millions and living in Miami. No. Basically, if you are prepared to invest in your goals and where you want to be, then yes, be prepared to put a little bit of money forward. It doesn't have to be millions. A good question there, Matt, but I will also say that in a minute. But don't you could put 50 quid toward, or $50 or £50 or euros, whatever, towards this. It might be running some ads for your music or running ads for your business, which, isn't too much. Where, should people risk their 9 to 5 and quit to do their passion, or stick and do their passion along it? Good thing about 9 to 5s is, especially with JackOKings, is after 5 o'clock, that's my time. That's not the business's time. That's my time to work on JackOKings, my businesses, my side hustles. What I do with my time is my time. So people can do it. How would you say to quit the 9 to 5 and go full time on a passion? I think this is the chat I had with my dad earlier. I had a chat with him about it as well. It's as if I'm now having the same chat with you guys. So I said to him, and this has always been the big question for me, is for JackOKings, if I started seeing me on tens of millions of streams monthly, and I saw a solid and stable income coming in, and I was touring, and I basically had no time for a 9 to 5, I would then go, hey, look, HR, I'm touring, I'm making music, doing what I do, my passion. I think I need to pack it in. And, I'd be open and honest and say, look, I've been working on this for 5 years, but, you've helped me. And also, 9 to 5 does also help with the social side and the business side, because, like the corporate side. So you might have to then talk to someone in corporate eventually, like if you're talking to record labels or companies. Do you think you should quit as soon as your passion makes as much as your 9 to 5, or should you wait a bit longer? For me, I'd probably wait till it gets stable, because there could be a month where it isn't as stable. You might not have sales, the streams might not be where you want them to be, and you don't want to risk it all and put all your chips on the table if we were playing a game of poker or something. So when you see it's like kind of being stable and you're getting solid returns, then I'd say don't just stick with it until you see that. And if you want to do it, then by all means. So what should you do if you enjoyed your job, or enjoy your job? Like, you work so hard to get it, you like the company, you like the security, but you also want to I think you have to weigh it up. You have to, Matt, we've already hit an hour, but this can go into into some B-roll content on Valkence Plus if you want. But I think it's one of those things where if you really want to do something, and it is hard, it is a bit of pill to swallow, a bit of pill to swallow when you were like, oh, I've worked really hard to get this job, I've gone through this interview and all this. But it's like, if it's what your heart wants. So if it is making a business, and like for me, wanting to do music, DJ, travel the world, then you do have to sometimes swallow the bit of pill and go, look, I love this job, but I really want to focus on my passion, and my passion's always been music. So yeah, I'll wrap up this whiteboard segment, but I really think I actually like this whiteboard segment. I think it's gonna come back more often. So if you are watching this, or like if you are watching this on the, then let me know if you want me to bring back the whiteboard segment. But if you are listening to this audio wise, go onto the visual, basically on YouTube, on the Twitch, on video on demand, all that cool stuff. Watch it, and yeah, as always, let me know what your takeaways are from these episodes, because it's really gonna keep me going and keep me motivated about them. So yeah, but yeah, other than that, yeah, I'm just gonna swap back to this one. So, Wibben. I said that right, didn't I? I said that right. Wibben. Like ribbon with a W. But, yeah. You feel free to tell me if I pronounced it wrong, but Wibben, thank you. Thank you for leaving me a question. I really, really appreciate it. I'm not starting anything myself yet, but I do have a question, which that's always great. How would you suggest navigating uncertainties as every branded business has in its early phase? Like, all my notifications on my phone are going off. That's entrepreneur life now. Everybody's after your attention. So, I think for me in my early stages, there was uncertainties of, it's at it. You will have people or naysayers that go, I don't really like doing, or what you're doing is high risk, and you getting nothing, and it's just a case of just cutting out. I'll say it bluntly, but I think Matt will probably agree with me on how I'm going to say it, is sometimes you need to cut through the bullshit. Like, if people are telling you shit about your business or stuff, like going, oh, it's too risk and all this and this, then it's a case of just being like, no, just cut through the bullshit. Just cut through the bullshit and be like, I'm doing this because I believe in this business. And you might have these uncertainties, or when you start a brand or a business where it's like, oh, this content that we push out every month is not really working for us. Then you just pivot back. And then look at the content, and then you'd be like, well, this content didn't work, but we've pivoted from there, and we've like, well, we've got content that's making like millions of views on Reels and TikTok. So, if you're having those uncertainties, it's a matter of, if you are having them, how you get over those hurdles. And how would I suggest navigating them is, goes back to my main point, break shit and find out. Because all the best people that I know, and Matt, I know Matt will testify to this probably, is all the best people that we know starting things, we know that we'll get some pushback from people. We'll get pushback from people that think we're not doing the right thing. But we're just like, yeah, and I like to go I don't really care what you think. Like, it's your opinion, cool. But I try and go, I'm doing this for me, not doing this for you, not doing this to impress you. I'm doing this for me, and this is what I want to do. So you might have uncertainties where people are pushing back on you. Do what I do. Go, I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing this for me. Tough love there. Tough love from me, but it's also brotherly love. What should you do when your family and friends doubt your plan? Well, so you can push back on them, but family is tough. I know family's tough, because if you're like me, you still live with them. This is when season two will move into a mansion or a penthouse, and we'll record from the penthouse. We're in the home office. Family's tough, so sometimes you need to have the hard like I said before, a lot of the decisions. Hello, Sir Dudesworth. Welcome. We're recording a podcast, so anyone that is just hearing, people are just joining the chat, and it's not like I'm just rambling and going off point. But pushing back on your family is tough, because you may live with them, or you still have good contact with them. I have the tough decisions I always said, like, for me, is having those tough conversations make me a better person and also help me make better business decisions. So I said to my dad, hey, I'm doing music. And he was like, okay, cool. I know it's higher risk, higher reward. I went, yep, I know that. And he's like, what happened? Like, how are you doing things? I was like, cool. Yeah, Matt's watching ads again. So if you are watching the video on demand, apologies. You can tell that the podcast is now ad ridden now, pre-rolls. But yeah, it's just a case of being like, pushback on family's hard. Just you have those. You need, if you're going to be successful, you need to have those tough decisions and those tough conversations with people. And that is the thing that I had with my parents, and being like, music's high risk, high reward. But I particularly don't think they support me with this decision to do music full time. That's not, or wanting to do this as my dream. They don't really. Friends is going to be the best one I can talk about, because I have done a welcome back, Matt. Welcome. But I think partners, girlfriend, boyfriend, family. Well, I've done family, but I'll do after friends. Matt, this is where Matt's gonna like put my relationship status on broadcast or something. But friends, I always think friends are not there for the. I always say they're not here for the long term, and they're not here for the, because you move. Let's say you move away. Some friends might move on. Like you might have talked to a friend for 5 years. They might move on and settle down and get a family and all that. So some might just but the ones that that are like close and have been sticking back, how am I? I'm doing great. You're actually in a podcast episode right now. You're on a podcast episode. But like, back to my point is, families, push back, hard conversations. But friends, you have the same hard conversations with them. And as long as you're open and honest and say, hey, I'm doing this thing, I'm not doing it to like impress you, and I'm not doing this because I want to be like, look at me, and put me on a pedestal. I'm Don't worry, man. You get a shout out. You got a shout out this episode. But as long as you're honest with your friends and say, hey, I'm not doing this for you. I'm not doing this to be put on a pedestal going, wow, he's such an amazing DJ and music producer. I'm doing this because I love doing this, and this is my passion. And it goes back to the whiteboard segment, is the aim and the purpose of why you do this stuff, and the why you do it links back to, well, I'll look at JackOKings and break that down. The aim of JackOKings is one I really would like to communicate, like with my music and my branding, is I really want to help people in tough times, because I've been in tough times. So I want my music to connect with people, connect with them emotionally. Because I think I had someone that was struggling in a bad time, and they said my music really got them out of that bad time. So that was like my mantra for JackOKings as a musician and a music producer, basically. So, being honest that I'm doing this for the reasons that I said I was doing them, and I'm being authentic by doing this kind of stuff. And on to the next point that Matt wants me to answer is, what about partners? Boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, husband? Well, it's very easy for me not to. It's going to be a tough one because I'm not in a relationship. Well, woohoo, woohoo, set the alarms off, Like, for me, I don't have that issue. So I don't have that issue because, I'm not going to go through my love life. I'm not here to put that on a podcast, being like, oh, that'll be the next podcast about love life, Valkence love life. Let's talk to Jack about his. And no. For me, if you have a partner, it's about being, they're in your day-to-day life, and they will die. Partners are in your day-to-day life, doubting you. Should you ignore them and carry on? Well, unless you're married and you're stuck with them, I'm not going on like that as my. This is going to be like JackOKings on marriage. That'll be another clip. But partners, everyone will doubt you, and I'll say that honestly is everybody will doubt you for the things that are high risk, because think about, and I like to think about this, is think about it as being on a mountain. Them seeing you with millions of pounds in the bank account, or you getting a million streams and you're really happy at the top of your game, it's because they probably never looked at their dream and passion and gone, hey, maybe I should have tried this, you know? And it's about it. And your partner's not there to doubt you all the time. They might doubt you because they want, everybody wants the real people in your life want the best for you, want the best. So I don't say ignore your partner, but it's about having those honest, open conversations and those hard conversations, being like, I'm doing this because this has been my goal for 5 years. And it's about being honest and transparent and being like, what, like, can you support me with this goal? Like, I don't, like, can you support me, like, I don't mean like financially or anything, I don't know, but I mean like, can you support me by going, hey, I saw you making music the other day on Twitch or something. How's that going? And I'm going, oh, it's super cool. We reached Twitch affiliate. We were producing like a copyright free album, and being open and honest and transparent and having that love and support. And you'll always have doubt. You can't get rid of doubt, but it's about those open ended conversations and getting the support from partners, friends, and family. Should you care about what? Oh, that's a good one. Should you care about what people in your industry think about you? Like, like people who are bigger and better, you might look down on you. Should you care or take on board if it's productive, or just focus on yourself? Podcast thinking there. But I would say constructive criticism is great because you can find ways, because it's also ways of going, hey, I didn't think about it that way. I'll approach it. But I always like to say sometimes is just focus on yourself, because some people some people can often be quite nasty and malicious and say horrible things to make themselves feel good, going, oh, Jack produces this sound because he doesn't like to go out of his comfort zone. No. Because I'll say this from my own experience, I've dealt with haters, doubters before, and I'm not bringing my dad on a podcast, but a lot of my lessons come from my dad. Is basically those people that sit there and spout hate and doubt about you, they're just projecting. They're just projecting the things that they haven't done or they've not achieved onto you, and it's not really a reflection of you. And how do you deal with haters? That's a good question. So basically, I like to say to myself, my opinion about me is the only voice I want to be hearing. Like, if it's positive praise, like Matt praises me about JackOKings all the time, people in Valkence, that's the stuff. That's the stuff I'm positive, like positive praise and affirmation from people. That's the stuff I let in, because that's them being honest and being like, I really love what you're doing. Great. People that like, it's like, you're entitled to an opinion. I'm gonna let you say what you want, but it's just gone in the bin because I'm like, yeah. But how do I deal with haters, like, who are non-stop hating? Do you block them? Do you just block them, or what if they do? Do you have to keep harassing you after that? Blocking has always been like the traditional way, but they'll always find ways to get around the block, to try and they'll make another account, and then it turns into like a rabbit, basically like a rabbit chase, like a wild goose chase, basically. So for me, I always say, so I'm not doing things to like go impress them and go. I'll say it from my own experience. I used to get bullied in school because I used to be, the clever guy that you pick on, the nerd that knew a lot, get pick on, and and the old Jack was like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna get a big better job, and they're gonna be the I'm gonna be the boss of them, and you know, as I've had this mindset shift, it's been a case of, well, no, if I'm doing everything to impress them, when I meet them, they're gonna go, you did all this to impress me. I feel sorry for you. Whereas success is the greatest form of revenge because they will then, because basically, the more things you do, like I'll say in my case, the more music I'm producing, the more opportunities I'm getting, and the more growth I'm seeing, the more that they will then start constantly comparing themselves to me and going, oh, so success is a very good form of revenge. But it's I think it was that a good point, Matt? Was that a good point? Yeah, that was a good one. I think that was a good one. Success is the best form of revenge. That's probably a very good quote. But yeah, we've recorded 1 hour 18 minutes. Like this is, I think there's going to be like some bonus content. I think I don't. I put like some of this bonus content. If you are subscribed to Valkence Plus, will probably go on Valkence Plus because there's a lot of cool stuff that we've talked about here. But is there any other questions anyone wants to ask? Oh, dang! Everyone's like, oh, keep when you do get your revenge. Should you be public about it or keep it humble? I'm a humble person. I like to be humble about my successes and my wins because I don't like going to the top of the hill and going, "Hey guys, I've got like." I don't like going up to the top of the hill and going, "Yeah, I've got a million streams." Like I'm kind of a humble person. People that have met me in person or met me through Valkence know that I'm a very humble person and I'm quite like down to earth. And I'm like, when they go, "Hey Jack, I've noticed you've got a million streams or like 1,000 streams on the song." Yeah, I really worked hard for that. It was a lot of hard work, but I really appreciate that you like the song and where it's at. So I don't try and, you know, blow the best. I'm gonna say it because it's a good piece of content. I try to be humble, but I try not to blow smoke up my ass because, you know, I'm not that kind of person. And that is someone that is going, oh well, cocky, and I don't like being arrogant or cocky, so trying to blow smoke up my ass just makes me not the person I'm not want to be. For me, I like to keep it humble, so humble pie, and keep it on the down low. Let people notice my successes and then talk to me about it, and then I'm like, okay, cool. You've noticed that I'm doing these things. Last question: what is your one b want your what there? What is your one best piece of advice? Can be repeated from earlier on, not to people starting out on their brand or business journey, or it's just going to generally be a little bit of motivation as well. If you're not going to start a brand or a business, but just need that little bit of a JackOKings pep talk, Big Brother pep talk. I think one of them is surround yourself with the individuals that want to see you do well. And by saying that, I don't mean just go for any old person that's going to be like, yeah, I'm here for you. I mean, surround yourself with people that want to see you win, but also are there for when you don't win. Because when you're in the weeds, and if they've got your back, they're there when you're winning, but they're also there when you're losing. Because then those are the kind of people you want to have on your side, not the people that just go, oh yeah, I'm here for you, and then as soon as you have a bad day where you don't make money or you don't get a show or you don't get in and they just jump off, those are the people you want to avoid. And I think making sure that you are trusting the right people, but also cutting off people that you think are going to take advantage of you later down the line when you start becoming more successful. Did that answer the question? Was that a good bit of advice? It was like one best piece, but I tried to join 2 points together to make one big one. Like a Lego. But I think it's super cool. Super cool. Any brand or business specific starting advice? Oh, good question. Good question, Matt. Like, you've just come in with all the questions. I think if you're starting a business or a brand, And I think also, as we've mentioned, is if you've got a notepad open or you've got a notepad near you, is also go back to that screen or that whiteboard segment on the visual one. Don't try and do it on the audio, because we've not developed a way where you can actually just see that whiteboard. But go back and go for the points. Is I think the main ones you'll want to take away is the purpose. The purpose. I'll actually pull it back up. Not from the stream, but I can pull it up. Remember, like, how I break it down is the purpose and why you started that. Is it because, what's the purpose of that? Is it you want to make an impact, or you really love fashion and you really want to turn that in from a hobby into an actual business? What's the aim of it? Are you trying to change the fashion industry? Are you trying to change the tech industry? What is it you're trying to do? Are you trying to be a new form? I don't work at Valkence, but if I looked at Valkence, which, big shout out, Matt. Valkence launching a social media, in my opinion, if I do that looking out as an outsider, that is their way, or they've built their own social media, which that is their way tackling the social media industry. So being something that is challenging, social media, being like, well, we're offering things that not other social medias are offering, because, it's a good way of, they're breaking through the industry and showing that there's new ways of doing things. So remembering the purpose why you started, and remembering the why you started a business, the aim, but also remember, like, in terms of brand or business is, I could go into a bit of a burp there. What audience, like, what's the audience? Like, who do you want to target? Do you want to target, influencers? Do you want to target like the 16, want to target the 18 to 25, people that like fashion, who might like, gym gear or gym wear, basically like audiences. Find out who your target audience is, what's your niche, what you specific want to boil down and cut and tackle. And yeah, and the big one is have fun. A lot of people, when they start a business or a brand or do what I do with music, is sometimes the lines get blurred and they forget about the fun and just think it's business all the time. And I would say the big point, and I'll underline it, highlight it, bold it, make it font 100. But remember to have fun. Remember to laugh. Remember why you're doing this. It might be a business or a brand that's making you money, but remember, it's all fun. It's all fun. There might be some boring times, but I love having fun by recording podcasts and talking to people and having a laugh with people and actually being the most down to, because if you meet me in real life, I'm the most chill person ever. It's like, don't talk to me about business. Just like, we're like, oh, we could go for a meal, or we could go have a walk around like a local village or something, or if we're in Miami or Las Vegas or somewhere, we go for a walk down the street. To live podcasting in Las Vegas. But yeah, I think I've covered a lot of points in this episode. So to wrap up this episode, I like how Matt is asking me the question, but also it also flips the question to you, the audience. See, I'm pointing to the camera this time. So how do I think the show is going so far, personally? I think the show is going great. From my point of view, you've really engaged with the show more than I was expecting. Questions. I got questions. It's really been a positive experience. A positive experience to see that I'm getting questions and people are really really excited for the things that I'm bringing out. Podcast, music, other things to talk about. Podcast, music, copyright free album, all the cool stuff on the way. I'm enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoy having these open heart-to-heart conversations, because not a lot of the time I don't get to have these heart-to-heart conversations, because one, it might not be easy to put these into short-form content, or it might be a little bit too much for someone to digest in like a one sitting. Any plans for future episodes is a good question. But also, I think topics, we're going to talk about motivation. We're going to talk about how we boil things down. I think the next one will be motivation. Not just a business one, but just a motivation and mindset one. Because motivation and mindset, if you've got those locked down to a T, that is going to be like your catalyst to success and your drive. What guests do I want on? Well, back to the main ones. It's like I would like Alex Hormozy on here because it would be really fun. It'd be really fun. I'd be like, I'd have a fangirl moment. And Paul Robinson, fangirl moments there. But I'd also appreciate guys like to drop some comments. What suggestions for guests you'd like to see on the podcast. Valkence members, creators, influencers. I think Luke Bite Me 117 would be good. I think Everty would be good. I think Moogly would be good. I think everyone would be good. I think Jordan would be good. I just got Defender Antivirus just kicking off. Defender Antivirus just decided, oh yeah, I'm just gonna tell you something. I was like, oh, thanks, Defender Antivirus, in the middle of a podcast. But I think all the Valkence members just to sit down on an episode and just talk about it. It doesn't have to be this super professional podcast. It's super chill, super laid back, sort of like sat on a couch in my house. I know I'd like to bring Matt on more because he's done a lot of the business side, but also Ethan. I think Ethan's a good shout. The dream team. How many episodes am I going to put out? So for now, as kind of like gauging the traction and the demand from you guys when you listen to these podcasts or watch them or however you consume them through the long form content or the short form content, is we're going to do twice a week. If we see that, or if, because I'll have a look at the comments, because obviously one of the big things I want to grow with this community is I'd really like to see like the positive comments about the podcast, because that's also a catalyst for me to then go, how do we then go from this, where we are, how do we skyrocket and scale that up to basically like 1,000 podcasts, and then being like, we become like the number one podcast for like motivation or something. But twice a week so we can gauge what we want, but also it's so we can get like content, we can get like the content, we can also get on Valkence Plus and stuff like that, so you can get like early access to this content, so you can also hear behind the scenes stuff. But also I want to do some cool stuff like where it's just like a podcast premiere parties and stuff like that, but also where it's just like we have like an open door Q&A, like after a podcast episode, like not on stream, but you just hop on the Valkence Plus chat and we just talk, being like, hey, I really like this episode, could you go through this point that you might have not fully gone through because you were recording? I was like, yeah, sure, we can go through it. But super cool stuff. Yeah, but it's been a really good episode. Where can you find the show? Where can people find the show, and where can they find you? As for the show, you can find it on all the major streaming platforms. So Spotify, Apple Music, or Apple Podcasts, even though I think they're the same platform. Someone's going to correct me there. But I think Amazon will be on there. Matt, is there any other ones that I've missed in terms of podcasts? Apart from the main ones, Apple, Amazon, and Spotify. YouTube again. But yeah, a lot of the long form content will be going on to YouTube. Twitch, we'll be on Twitch for those live episodes, so you can, if you are wanting to see my lovely face live and ask and interact with questions, we'll be on Twitch on JackOKingsMusic. And to find me, as for socials, you can find me at JackOKings on YouTube and JackOKings on Instagram, and then JackOKings on Twitter, or X, formerly Twitter. And yeah, to sum that up, and it's JackOKings on TikTok as well. I'm not going to forget TikTok because a lot of the content will go there. But yeah, besides the point, it's been a wrap. It's a wrap, basically. This episode's been really good. Episode 2 is a wrap. We are basically 8 episodes close to 10, I think. I think we're eight episodes. We're 8 episodes till we've recorded our first 10. And then, or if you're Luke, I'm halfway to 100. Yeah, I'm halfway to 100, even though I'm not, like, 50 yet. Yeah. But, yeah. It's been a wrap. It's been super cool recording this, and I appreciate everyone that has submitted questions. And, yeah, as always, feel free when you are listening to the podcast to let me know either through Valkence Social, through Instagram, like the DMs. Like, my DMs are open. I'm happy to read them. But also let me know via Twitter, Discord, however you want to let me know, because those comments will make my day and also help me to push harder on the podcasts, basically. But yeah, I think I've done enough rambling now. It's a Friday night, so I think I'll treat myself to... What should I treat myself to? I'm not treating myself to a chizzer, I can tell you that. But I might have a bourbon today. Be a good boy. Have a bourbon. You can tell that I'm an entrepreneur. I'm out and drinking bourbon. What? Oh, a chizzer is it's chicken that's meant to be a pizza, like KFC. So it's like an inside joke. If you listen to the Valkence Family podcast, you'll find out. But yes, other than that, thank you for stopping by for the podcast. And yeah, I will hope to see you in the next episode, where we'll talk about some more wholesome and deep stuff. So, you know what? Stay safe. You know, keep it locked in, like that guy says on Instagram. You're gonna put memes in on the short form. But yeah, keep safe. Enjoy listening to the episodes, and let me know. And yeah, we're gonna keep this going, and we're gonna, you know, hopefully someone's gonna, if this, you know, the thing I want to take away is someone feels inspired and motivated to, you know, crush their goals, basically. So yeah, wholesome Jack's over now. So thank you for stopping by. If you stopped live or you're just listening on your favorite podcast podcast app. And yeah, see you in the next episode. Yeah, thanks, Matt. Thanks as always, Matt, for the. But yeah, got you. Yeah, it was a W episode.